Ah, the French champagne.
Champagne!
The Schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
Once they were men, now they are land crabs.
Amanda Bynes is a national treasure.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Big Daddy lost his eagle.
I hope
So-
no one from my family listens to this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is...
Welcome to another episode of Citizen Kane versus the Podlet edition.
The Podlet.
Podlet.
Potty in the lit.
Our... Did you use potty in the lit?
Like our radio names.
Body in the lid.
Potty in the lit.
There's three of us. And I'm Dan.
Potty
in the lit. And Dan. This is our spin-off show where we discuss the hard-hitting issues of cinema and aim to solve problems and remove the subjectivity from art.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're starting with our first ones of just also helping to explain what our podcast is.
Right.
Yeah.
So the topic for this one, we had a nice discussion in the last episode, way back then, about what makes a movie a classic. What makes Schlock?
Oh, the other side.
We gotta do the other side.
Wow.
I know. You know what's not coming.
Yin to yang.
Yeah.
Balance.
Because that's the thing. Because arguably, you need both, right?
Yeah.
You need the perspective of one against the other. Like, they both create the other, which is interesting.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't.
Dan was going to make mouth sounds. Don't do it.
No, I was gonna say I don't. Do they create the other? Because I think the opposite of. I don't know if the opposite of good is bad. I don't know if we only can view one thing as bad because we have something that we deem as good as a reference point. You know what I mean? I think that Schlock, it's, in a way, can kind of exist in its own world, like independent of the good versus bad conversation. Because like Schlock doesn't mean bad.
No.
You know what I mean? And like
yeah.
Schlock,
No, it doesn't.
or even like average. Schlock is like its own, in my opinion, can be like its own thing.
Yeah. Schlock can be bad. Schlock can be
Schlock
good.
can be bad, but I feel like, at least the way that we have kind of defined it on this podcast, is that Schlock has like bad qualities, but is like so bad that it's watchable, as opposed to bad. Well, I guess
At least we try for it. And
we aim
sometimes
for
we
that.
Fail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
mainly for the competitive nature of the podcast. We try and find things that are like good Schlock. Like, Schlock does not mean bad. That is a good point.
but it means of like poor quality.
It means there's something about it that is like a bit like fucky.
Shitty,
Yeah.
or like
there's
poorly done.
Like or just weird sometimes.
To me,
Or-
the like classic example of Schlock, to use both words in the same sentence, is
Very
Roger
nice.
Corman films, which we watched Attack of the Crab Monsters.
Oh yes, yeah.
And that, to me, is true Schlock. Like an auteur filmmaker who is putting his vision on film at all costs with like a production budget that is almost non-existent. And in order to do that, overcoming these hurdles, you are creating these like truly bizarre and memorable moments and props and characters and costumes and stuff like that lead to not a super great film, but like you're never going to forget it.
Okay, so then with that as an example, how would you differentiate Schlock from camp? Because I think that is
I wouldn't. I would say that they're very closely tied a lot of the time.
okay.
Yeah.
I think usually what makes good Schlock is usually the incorporation of some camp.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
when a Schlocky movie doesn't have camp that we're watching Battleship.
Yeah. Which
Oh, right.
Which,
I thought you said Battlefield Earth for a second. I was like, that was...
which is explosion Schlock.
Battlefield Earth is also like one of my favorite
But
hold-ups of Schlock.
again, that is a unified vision that is trying for something, and the vision is batshit insane.
Yeah.
But I would say Like, would we qualify Battlefield Earth as campy? Because often camp is intentional.
No, yeah, because it's not tongue in cheek.
I wouldn't.
It's just bad,
I wouldn't
yeah.
say it's campy.
Right.
It's
So in
just-
that regard, those two things are not intrinsically.
Yeah, they're not
linked.
always tied, but I think like if you have good schlock, there's going to be camp in it.
I mean, maybe
I
would
hate
say,
Battlefield Earth.
I would say it is.
love
I would
it.
say it is like among like the top of my list of good schlock. Battlefield Earth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It is. It is like insanely watchable.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, but it's horrible.
It's horrible, but it's
Yes.
horrible in all the best ways.
Yes,
it is.
you're
like
laughing the whole time.
Totally.
It's that rare thing. It has that like, I know people have mixed feelings about this movie as well, but like The Room, which exists in it even still a kind of further separate. Like it really exists and like, it's its own thing. It's in a different because it's not in major cinema. Like it's anyway, but they didn't mean to do it. Is a very thing that like when that rare moment happens, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a bad film.
Like and Battlefield Earth did that as well, where like they didn't mean to do that, and what they made is like the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Like it's hilarious.
I don't know that I would classify The Room though as like good schlock because I feel like one thing that makes a good schlocky movie is its rewatchability factor.
Yeah.
Is it a fun enough movie? Is it so poorly done that you can watch it over like repeatedly and still enjoy it? The Room is like more of a sideshow spectacle.
But people treat The Room like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that has less to do with the movie itself and more to do with like
A Community.
the community aspect
Right.
of it, right?
Yeah.
I
mean,
think.
it's tricky. It's a really tricky thing to define. I think it's harder to define than classics because there isn't like a criterion or something even where people are like, this is the schlock page. Maybe there
Like
is.
the Sci-Fi Network.
Yeah. And so it's what's cool about schlock is that it's usually actually a place where you see more experimentation.
Yes.
Yes.
So like where to me, it's an interesting thing that came up even something recent, like when we had Crank on the episode. Like to me, that movie is schlock. It's fully schlocky. Like it's through and through. But the things that you two really, and I appreciate it too, to be clear, but like that you were both really appreciating on the episode was about like how unique it was.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And that is important. And so there are a lot of things that make schlock. And like sometimes like there are movies that I think we've also had that try so hard to be a classic that it's like annoying. I felt this way about $1 Million Baby when it was like, this movie will be a classic.
Yeah.
This is our Oscar movie and it will be a classic. And it's like, you need to chill. You need to chill with like, we're going to do the things that make movies win Oscars.
Right.
Just really good, but only those things. You're like, okay, chill.
So then are you saying that a movie like $1 Million Baby is like unintentional schlock, or are you saying...
No, I'm just saying.
No.
No, I'm not saying it's unintentional schlock. I'm just saying like it is trying to recreate like the existing things that we see in film, just
Right.
done well. Like
Right.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like it's
Right.
trying to do the things well. Whereas usually schlocky movies are like, what if we did this, and they just like splat on their face, right?
Right.
Or
Yeah. I'm like Tropic Thunder to me is like some of the best, a really great example of good schlock, where they're sending up commonly known tropes, like classic tropes of stuff, but it is all there essentially for the audience's gratification. It's not there to do anything artistic. It's not there to do anything like...
But see, I would actually argue that it is just a very cleverly written, like, superb piece of comedy.
yeah,
I don't think it's schlock because
it's so schlocky.
I don't think so, man.
I don't
It's
know.
well
That's a tricky-
written.
that's a
It's
tricky
well
one.
executed.
Sure.
Technically it is a well-made film. Like there aren't really the qualities that make it schlock besides
Tom
just
Cruise
like
is in
the
a fat
goofiness.
suit doing a dance at the end.
That is maybe the exception to
Steve
what I'm
Coogan's
saying.
head gets put on an assault rifle, and they pretend to talk to his lifeless head as they're bopping it up and down.
But those are just. I hear. I know what you're saying. And it is. I kind of agree with Dan though. I think it's a tricky thing where like our comedy movies schlocky just because they have really silly things in them. Do you know what I mean? And I think comedy is sometimes we've had comedy things on the podcast, I think, as the schlock, and I think it's a tricky thing because, like,
Sorry, I want one of your Areos.
you can't.
We'll get those at the next recording.
All right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, I just kind of feel it too. Like, is The Mask schlock?
No.
The Mask, I think clearly is a classic movie.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but I could. You're saying here's some silly things, but I go, a man puts a mask on his dog, and the dog wears the mask, and he bites his pant. Like, it's silly and has these crazy wild scenarios. That doesn't make it schlock. It's just a well done comedy. So I kind of hear what you're saying, that it's actually very intentional, and if anything, is hitting formulaic beats that have been set up for years, that like Ben Stiller has been refining over the years with Zoolander and stuff like that. Like,
well, and also I think the size of the budget, which allows for the technical precision of the movie,
Right.
disqualifies it from being schlock.
I think it is the choices.
moments.
It is the choices made in the casting and the production and the writing of Tropic Thunder, to me, that lend itself to schlockiness. The Mask is like, they cast Jim Carrey because he was a great comedic actor, and they just were like, here's a vehicle for you, run. He did it. Tropic Thunder, they made a choice to cast Tom Cruise because they knew that would be a silly thing. They made a choice to cast Robert Downey Jr. and put him in blackface because they knew that, like, that was a choice with his history, that bringing that actor into that role was going to put another layer of like audience reaction to it.
yeah.
Nick Nolte as the grizzled war vet with his history, putting him in that role is a choice, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I still don't think I would call it schlock, if I'm being honest.
Well, we've determined it's not schlock.
Yeah, but things can have
Majority rules.
Let's list the movies.
but it can have schlock.
Yeah.
I think there are good comedies that know how to harness elements of schlock in their well-made comedic movies.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of how more I feel about it. Like those choices you're examining. Oh yeah, I'm not going to say those aren't kind of in the realm of schlock choices. The same way of having Pierce Brosnan as the crazy doctor who feeds the lawnmower man. You know, like
like The Cable Guy is an attempt to make a serious film that went so wrong it became schlock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, at that point we're talking about the poor quality of the thing we're watching,
right?
Which I don't think exists in something like Tropic Thunder. And again, if I'm being honest, I think for me, just the sheer scale of that movie and like the blockbuster quality it has makes it hard to look at it as schlock. Because I hear what you're saying about the goofy choices and those same decisions made in like a Will Ferrell movie,
Right.
I would be 100% on board with you. You know what I mean?
So The Expendables, to me, is schlock.
I think. I
Yeah.
agree
Okay.
with
Well, that's a good counter argument because that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that movie is undeniably schlock, but
And it's based purely on the casting of every one of those actors in the roles and what they do in those movies.
see, I think the difference might be that The Expendables is an ensemble
It's
of
dumb.
Well, yes, but The Expendables is an ensemble of stunt casting,
Right.
as opposed to Tropic Thunder, which is cleverly cast people who
A
can,
really well done script.
who are all really good actors
Yeah.
executing good writing.
Yeah, The Expendables is up there with like Valentine's Day. And
Yeah.
it's essentially
It
the
is a
same
spectacle,
genre.
right?
That's fair.
It
That's
actually
fair.
is in the same genre. I just
Yeah,
realized
yeah,
it's
I
the
would
same
say so.
genre of those movies.
Classic Valentine's Day, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve,
or whatever.
The Expendables.
Expendables 2, Expendables 3.
Yeah.
They made 3 of those movies, eh?
I think so.
Jesus.
They're probably going to make another one.
Probably.
So here's a movie that came up on the classic side, and I think it's a good one to weigh for both sides of this, again, is Avatar. Because Avatar...
For schlock?
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I think it's too
No, eh?
too
Explain,
polished.
though.
Because I think it did some of the things we're talking about, where it tried to be, it was clearly going like, again, we all know this, it was going for this common denominator
Right.
thing, and it was because they were spending so much money on it that they didn't want to hedge their bets. So, you know, they just made this generic story, yada yada yada, but it also did things in that movie that are like laughable. Some of the choices they made are laughable. Like and they aren't trying to be funny.
But they don't keep you laughing throughout. You laugh at the one moment, and then you're like, oh, afterwards.
But that's the thing. That's the funny thing about that movie is that it did something so well that people lost their minds and had to see it multiple times, and it did other things so poorly without trying to do them poorly that you're like, what's the story? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
it's this funny thing.
You cast Sam Worthington? Okay.
I think that Sean makes a good point though, in that it is the volume of those laughable decisions that play a role, and I don't think there's enough of them in Avatar to make it schlocky. I think it is bad. But like for me, schlock to make Avatar schlock, it would have to be like wall to wall, like the room in space.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean,
okay.
like maybe that's an extreme example, but I feel like because it is such a polished movie from a technical standpoint, it would have to be like consistently laughable moments and bad choices.
This is interesting. I'm glad we're having this conversation because I'm actually learning different things about what each of us
considers film to be.
Well, like, and also in terms of like what they consider to be schlock, because one of the because you're talking about like things like casting choices and
the production as a whole,
and story moments, and I'm thinking about the production as a whole as well, but I'm thinking about other qualities. So one of the qualities for me is how is the piece being made solely to be like digestible, right? For me, that's an element of schlock as well. So like when I think of Avatar, I think of it as being kind of schlocky because it's truly not trying to ruffle anyone's feathers.
Is Titanic schlocky to you?
Yeah,
okay. Because I would consider Titanic schlock.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I hate that movie. So
yeah, but
it's also a classic.
But
some are both.
A movie being bad doesn't make a movie schlock.
No, but I think there were choices. Well, again, like the casting of Leo at that time in that has a very specific message in the role he was portraying. The costume scheme and the color palette that he puts over everything. It's this like weird out of focus beige. Just like all of those choices go towards me spending 4 hours laughing at your stupid boat movie.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, right? So I think what I'm also trying to say is that like digestible, but also like movies like Fast and Furious movies like Michael Bay, like Transformers and stuff like that, it's the need that they satisfy, right? Are you trying to engage us, or are you trying to like lull us to sleep? It's the gods of Egypt of movies, these kinds of movies.
Yeah,
that they're actually they act more like a sedative because they're not trying to really, their goal isn't to engage, meaning not to, I don't want to say something lame, like to challenge us, but like they're there to just to hold our attention by satisfying our animal brains with pew-pews and flashy lights and bright colors and attractive people.
I certainly put Battleship into that category of schlock, which is just here are
also
aliens and explosions. Yeah,
but it's
honestly,
actually,
I like Battleship a little bit. It's a guilty pleasure,
but like worse than other movies. I'd rather watch.
Yeah,
I don't know, one of the movies.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Do
you know what I mean? So I think that's a really important factor for me in terms of one of the factors that makes things schlocky.
Yeah.
Is like, what kind of movie are they making? Like Gods of Egypt comes up a lot because I know it's your favorite movie.
It's one of.
And nothing, again, I also have schlocky movies that I love. I think we all have schlocky movies that we love. And I think it's partly because we don't always want to be engaged or, again, challenged.
Yeah.
We just want something that's like that makes us feel nice.
It is hard because I going over everything we've talked about here in this, schlock is also something that benefits people who know film and have studied film more so than just like someone who's going out to see a movie. Because someone can go out to see Avatar and it is like pablum and they leave the movie and they're like, I had a good time. But if you if you have studied film techniques, acting techniques, you know a lot about like actors and their histories and other films they've done, you can appreciate more things that are dropped into films as schlocky moments.
The Sigourney Weaver casting in Avatar.
Yeah, that is pure schlock. The mech suit ending. I would say the ending of
forgot about
Avatar
that.
is pure schlock. I will reform my answer to that.
What about the choice of their hair braids that they used to have sex with?
Yeah.
Are apparently also the same thing and
Yeah.
the same process they used to link up with the animals.
That's just great filmmaking.
That's that's just a good choice. It's a good story.
Yeah, I mean,
Are they having sex with the animals?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
for sure. But I think I don't know. For me,
Tarak Mukto is all I'm saying.
what
I
is
don't
that?
remember that.
Isn't that
I remember the phrase, but
I
what?
think that's like the name of the flying animal,
Oh, is it
Taruk Mukto,
something like that. I don't.
James Cameron.
the appropriation
just
of that movie?
hacking it in.
But I think that
Unobtainium.
I to kind of counter what you guys are saying, I think that what gives something a schlocky quality is the entertainment value of the poor decisions. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So
Okay.
so something like the braid fucking of the animals. Stupid,
Yeah.
obviously stupid, but like for me it's more like, oh, that was a fucking bad choice, as opposed to like, what? I want to
my
watch
God.
this again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that like, so for a lot of stuff we're talking about, like Titanic,
Yeah.
but you don't like it, you don't like a lot of the technical choices he made.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
But do you find entertainment or enjoyment in how bad those things are, or is
No.
it just a flat bad movie for you?
I just think it's a bad movie. I guess.
so, and I think
Yeah.
for me that's the difference, right? Is that
Yeah.
I
like,
think there's good things in it, undeniably.
I
Yeah.
love Titanic. I think it is, for its time, it's a cinematic feat, and I also am a sucker for the love story. But I can see why someone like you wouldn't like it.
I just mostly don't like James Cameron's brain. And
Totally,
yeah.
and that's fair. And
Yeah.
you can see kind of like the formula. You can see his MO in all the movies he's made
Yeah.
subsequently, and that's fine. But you get what I'm saying? Like, there's bad choices that are boring, and then there's bad choices that are so bad they're good,
sure,
and
for
that
sure.
I think is what makes it schlocky over shit.
Right.
Okay, so and here's another kind of franchise example that I want to pose to ask about, because like the Marvel movies, right? Which Dan's intrigued, which are made to be digestible.
100%.
That is their goal, and like Disney at large. Like I kind of have issue with Disney because they're currently making. I think Disney is like on the brink of like making the end of art. Like they're making things so much that are just about like accessing a wallet as opposed to being art and convincing people that that's the art, because I mean you have to hire a lot of artists to make it. But like,
how many kids believe that movies are just what Marvel is doing?
I think lots.
Yeah.
And this is, you had that contentious thing where I also don't agree with someone like Martini Scorsese coming out and being like, those movies are not good.
movies, yeah.
But he kind of understands. He's like, he said like, it's not a movie. Those are theme park rides. I think was something along the lines of what
I
he
don't
said.
disagree with that.
And I don't fully disagree with that. I love a lot of those movies, but for being, if someone's like, what's your favorite movie? I wouldn't be like Iron Man.
Right. Right. I mean, it's definitely its own. It is a style of movie.
That would be fucking...
If your favorite movie is Iron Man, just
tickled
walk
Sean.
into the fucking ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tweet us at fucking Twitter and we'll tell you where the closest ocean is
Yeah.
to your location.
But like, yeah, like I think it's funny. I think that is a very fucking pretentious position for Scorsese to take.
Because I never saw The Irishman, but I hear that movie
Oh,
fucking
it's
sucks.
dog shit. And Silence.
It's not even schlock. It's just
No.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fucking sedative of a movie.
Yeah.
The Irishman. And also
Yeah.
fucking, and Silence was really bad too. Like, he's made some
Right.
garbage.
Yeah.
But, and to say that they're like not, I don't know if he said they're not movies.
No,
But-
his interpretation was that like the artistic scope of what a movie was when he was a film student and when he was making movies has changed drastically to the point where like his understanding of what a movie is no longer what movies are, and he just can't wrap his mind around that.
I mean, that's that's a fair take, I guess,
Yeah.
because he's fucking old and things change.
Has he tried putting Robert De Niro in a super suit?
Right.
Oh my god, I'd watch the
De-aging
fuck out of
him.
that movie.
Putting him in a super suit.
No de-aging. It's him as his
Grumpy
character,
Italian man.
yeah, as from Bad Grandpa or whatever
Yeah.
his fucking movie was. I want Scorsese just to be like, fuck it.
Yeah. I would watch that.
A Scorsese superhero film might actually be pretty good.
Captain
I would.
Calzone, and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just De Niro fucking. He just gives people a look, and they like turn to stone or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question about the Marvel movies,
De
because
Niro's the villain.
De Niro's in Marvel? In the Marvel movie?
No, it's their own.
Just
spin-off.
in life.
It's
right,
their
right.
own universe.
Yeah, just in life.
Just in life. Yeah.
So, yes, Marvel has kind of co-opted cinema, and yes, they have their own kind of like brand of movie, which is not wholly unique, but like not quite movies as we have known them in the past. But if there weren't so many of them, would we still feel like they are this kind of cinematic abomination? Which I don't personally feel. I love them as junk food movies. But like, I think the saturation of them and just the sheer fucking quantity of them is the real problem, as opposed to the kind of movie that they are.
I was almost going to say the opposite.
Okay.
In that I think the thing that makes them tolerable is the fact that their innovation, what they're bringing to the scene, is the universe aspect of it. The fact that
That's
it's
a
a
good point.
glorified television show on their own. Like we saw Doctor Strange 2 the other day. That movie's
Yeah.
mostly stupid.
Yes.
Except for the fact that it's a continuation of an ongoing storyline that's never been done, except for like Star Wars was pretty close. They had 6 movies, like you had stuff that you'd be like, oh my god, this is the origin of Dorothy Markey
Right.
or whatever his name is, right? So
But the difference being that they were just all sequels of each other. And Marvel has done this kind of incredible thing of having a bunch of standalone
like a
movies.
spider web.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is quite the accomplishment. And
Yeah.
they do it quite well.
They've done it very well. They planned ahead.
Yeah.
They really like it is very cool to have storylines drawn out over like 7 movies.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. To watch Iron Man 1 to Endgame.
Your favorite movie.
Not
Yeah.
Iron Man, Endgame. I mean, I fucking loved Endgame.
Yeah. I've seen Endgame like 5 times.
It's wildly good.
But what makes it so good is the culmination of everything that's come before it.
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
that as its own movie, out of context would make no sense.
Yeah.
But also, like, it is amazing to look at, and it is, I think, the most technically proficient of all of the Marvel movies.
But none of the Marvel movies are schlock.
I would argue that the latest Doctor Strange movie
Maybe
is schlock.
Ragnarok. No, I really wouldn't. I think it tries for schlock because Sam Raimi's behind the film. But
Yeah, there were schlocky moments. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, there were schlocky moments,
Yeah.
but the overall scope of the film was far past schlock. And maybe Ragnarok is schlocky merely because YTT has such a ironic sense of humor.
But it's so polished.
It's so polished.
so polished.
It's like
It is campy to the nines, but that doesn't make any sense.
I-
Campy to the nines?
it's not campy though.
It is. Yes,
It's
it
bright
is.
and colorful.
It's pretty campy.
It's campy. Jeff Goldblum.
Okay,
fucking,
Jeff Goldblum. All right, that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Jeff
forgot
Gold-
about Jeff
It
Goldblum.
is
That's camp.
campy
Yep, all right.
as
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
And it has Hulk as Hulk, angry Hulk baby man.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of goofy choices in there.
Yeah.
I would kind of argue that I think all the movies are schlock, if I'm being honest. But I think the collection of them, from the first one being, I guess, Iron Man to Endgame, my 2 favorite movies, is the classic. Like I have this weird feeling about it that I think individually they're all kind of dumb, and I know
Right.
they're just like quietly mushing the parts of my brain
Yeah,
that like to see.
you have a cancer right now.
Yeah, like I know that they're just massaging my amygdala,
Yeah.
or whatever
I love
the
that,
fuck
just
is
quietly
happening.
mushing the parts of my brain. I love that.
Mickey's behind you, just like, oh, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Like comes to the next one. When fucking 2 weeks ago, when you were like, you want to see Doctor Strange 2, and I was like, not really, but yeah.
Ho-ho.
Yeah, like what's Doc up to? Like I barely even like that character.
Yeah.
But it's but I think the overall achievement of the universe is actually a classic thing. I don't know what to call it.
Sure.
But I think the movies themselves are pretty schlocky.
Well, We've solved nothing once again.
Oh, that's gonna be. We're never here to solve anything.
Yeah.
Well, Dan thinks we
I
are.
disagree.
Right.
I think our sole purpose of these podlets is
It's
to
just to
have
expand.
definitive answers
We can return
to
to
subjective
These,
questions.
we can return to these ideas again in the
That's our
future.
tagline.
Okay. So definitively,
Definitive answers to subjective.
You should
topics.
walk
Is that
into
what
the
you're
Yeah,
saying?
ocean.
I like that.
if you think Iron Man is your favorite movie, that's
Yeah.
our definitive take.
That is our final stance on schlocky movies.
Yeah. Walk into the ocean. Yeah.
But they're fun.
Yeah.
My
They are fun.
mushy brain, like.
But there's, I mean, I know you're
You
trying
guys
to.
want to watch She-Hulk later?
Oh God, desperately no.
Attorney
but
at
also
Law or
yes.
whatever?
She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
That's the name of the show.
Ally McBeal, She-Hulk
That's
Attorney
the
at
real
Law.
name of the
That's
show.
the real name of the
She-Hulk
show.
Attorney at Law.
Yeah, it's
Fucking kill me.
It's
what's her name from Orphan Black?
Orphan Black.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
was gonna say
uh,
Black Mirror, but no.
Tatiana
Tatiana?
Tatiana Maslany.
Maslany.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's,
Canadian.
She's Ally McBeer. Wait, no.
Ally McBeal, She-Hulk
Ally-
at
No,
Law.
Ally McBeer is what I
Yeah.
said.
Ally
Nice.
McBeal, She-Hulk at Law.
Yeah.
There we go.
oh, dude,
They're
the
doing
CGI
a
looks
they're
so
doing a
bad, too.
Willow show. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah?
Is it a
Warwick
show?
Davis is back
I
as
thought it
Willow.
was. I thought it was a movie,
Pick-
It's a
Pickwick or whatever?
series.
like a limited series.
I don't know. I realized I thought it was gonna be a movie, and then it said like series.
I mean,
coming soon.
I did see the trailer. It doesn't look terrible.
Oh, it'll be fine.
It'll be. I mean, it's
probably that.
it's.
As most TV
I
is
think
now,
it's.
it'll be
I think
fine.
it's too late because
Isn't that a shame?
I think it's too late because the trailer looks a lot like they're mimicking stuff like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. Like so many fucking iconic fantasy things have come before it. That
Right.
you know what I mean. And like Willow was the iconic
So
thing.
is there going to be a lot of sexual assault and gruesome murder in
Oh, I
in
cannot
Willow?
wait to see Warwick
Yeah.
Davis sex scenes. He's gonna do full frontal.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but you know what I mean. Like it's you can't do that genre now as a sequel to a movie 30 years ago and expect to like break new ground or be relevant anymore.
No, I think they're just gonna. It looks like they just want to have fun with it.
Yeah,
being
I
honest.
just want more fucking Val Kilmer, but that doesn't seem likely.
No, I don't think he's going to be on camera ever again.
He's in Maverick, Top Gun.
What?
Yeah, I think.
They rolled him? I don't
No, I think he's dead in that
Yeah,
movie.
doesn't he die at the end of
I think.
I don't know,
I think
man.
someone's kid is in it. And they're
I've
like,
seen
"For
some
my dad."
headlines on Facebook where it implies that he's in the movie.
I mean, sitting
it
down
up.
in a
IMDb
dark corner, probably.
IMDb fucking Top Gun Maverick.
All right.
Yeah, this is
I'm
the end
not
of
doing
this.
this on the pod. No.
Okay, fine.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone. We hope we didn't clarify what schlock is, but we just kind of discussed more of what we each think makes movies schlocky.
Like at the end of the last one, if you have a favorite schlock movie,
Yeah.
tell us, and then I will tell you why it's not schlock. I will
Yeah.
disagree with you.
Sean's here to be a contrarian.
Fight me.
You're just our goon, eh?
Yeah.
I love it. But you're like our troll goon.
Yeah. I don't go on the internet much to fight people anymore, so this is my one.
So just help him out.
Yeah.
We're what at Citizen Kane VS.
Sean, what are
podcast?
we on
Yeah,
Twitter?
Citizen Kane VS.
Sick.
It's at Citizen Kane VS.
I don't think it's at. Is it at?
Yeah.
How does Twitter
Yeah,
work?
Twitter has
Yeah,
an
it's
at
an
as
at.
well.
You at
Is it
someone.
at? You
Yeah.
at? Okay.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro. That's what they mean.
Yeah.
Ah.
They
At
mean,
me
they
on
mean
Twitter.
when someone says that, they mean tag me on
Come
socials.
tag me on socials.
Yep.
I love that.
Do you?
Come at me.
That's not. I think I'm.
No,
just,
I know, but we can. But that should be
Come
Sean's
at
thing.
me, Fuck Dog Productions.
Yeah.
Yeah. come
Well,
at
we're
me,
friends
bros.
with them now, so
Yeah, we're best friends.
yeah.
All right. Bye bye. Dan, you got us fucking. That's not. That's not. Dan. That's not the.
Podlet.
That's not.